Hey everybody, welcome to the workshop. Thank you for joining me today. On today's episode, I'm going to be building a gift box for a DVD box set, The Chosen, that I've purchased as a gift. So, I've got a YouTube channel called I Do a Gussie, the man's name, who inspired this. I watched him make a clamshell box for a book that he bound, and I really liked it, and I thought it would look really, really good to do the same thing with this right here. So today, that's what we're going to be doing, is making a clamshell box for a gift. So stick with me today on Adam's Workshop. Getting started here with this, the first thing that we need to remember is that there's always going to be a lot of little things that we do that we're going to end up forgetting about. I am that way. So one of the first things that I've already done is I've already taken some measurements here of this and got them written down over here so that way I can try to remember. But first thing I did was I measured the spine, the length, and the width of it, wrote that down. Same thing with the top and the bottom as well, same size. So that way I would have the right measurements. And I went ahead and cut some pieces for this, so that way we could go ahead and start making the bottom or the interior side of the box, which is what this right here is going to fit into. The other side of the clamshell is going to fold this direction, so when you open it, it's going to be like opening a book. You're going to go from right to left. So these are all things that you may not think about in the moment, but actually are very, very important. So, and here's another one too. When we go to put these on, and we have to put them on the top and the bottom here, you have to keep in mind which one is going to overlap the other, because we're just doing a simple butt joint here. This is not woodworking, we're doing something fancy. We're doing a simple butt joint. So you have to decide, okay, is the top and the bottom going to overlap the spine, or is it going to be the other way around? It doesn't matter which way you go, you just have to pick a direction, and then you have to make sure that you account for the length of your piece, so that way it does. In my case, the top and the bottom are going to overlap the spine. So, next thing I need to do, since I've already got these three pieces cut, is to measure out the bottom piece and get it cut. And then afterwards we can actually glue all four of these pieces together. Well, scratch that. We will measure it, we will put it into place, measure it, and then that way I can cut the bottom, then we'll glue it together. Big thing that is a help is some form of weights. These are just solid 1, 2, 3 blocks, and they actually have some nice little weight to them, and they stand up no matter if you need them a little higher, a little bit shorter, whatever. So to do this, I'm going to take my piece and I'm going to bring it all the way to the, well, I'll do it to the top right. This way, from my perspective, it's easier for me to mark. So I'm going to take my weights here, and I'm going to bring them up to the top edge of my chipboard. I'll remember what it's called in a minute. And then I can bring my parts up to it. Okay, now that we've got it set up, we just need to mark it. In this case, a cork back ruler is really handy because when you put it down, it's not going to slide on you. And I have started using these little, I think they're 60-degree knives right here. They're really inexpensive on Amazon. Really like these a lot. And then they're easy to just break off the tip, and you've got a nice sharp tip for the next one. And always remember too which side of your mark that you're actually cutting on, because the piece came up to here, so I marked on the outside of the piece. So I'm either going to do it right on the line, or maybe even just a hair over to, in my case, what would be my left. So that way I would rather have a little bit of extra that I have to sand in order to shape it to size to get it right, than have a little, then cut it maybe just directly on the line, then need to sand it or just be off. I would rather have an extra to work with. So always, little things like this they kill me. I don't know about you, but they absolutely kill me. I end up having death by 1,000 cuts because of this. Now when we cut this, light passes, and it's just going to take several passes. It's better to do that than try to force your way through it and end up cutting yourself. Excellent time to say this again. I just turned it, and if you're not careful and you're not thinking about what you're doing, you could end up cutting on the wrong side of the line. I don't want to harp on this, but trust me, I have frustrated myself to no end when doing projects because I end up forgetting where I'm at, making adjustments, turning things, and then end up cutting something on the wrong side. Trust me. I want you to learn from my mistakes and not make them yourself. Trust me. Now, time for a test fit. And that looks like it's about as perfect as I'm going to get it. So now it's time to glue it in. And in doing this, with these 1, 2, 3 blocks, these are steel. They will rust when you get glue on them, because I'm using the neutral pH glue here, the little more fancy stuff for bookbinding, because I don't have any regular PVA glue. Regular Elmer's type glue, or anything that you use for crafts and whatnot, you don't need the fancy glue. I'm just out of it right now. But remember, if you're using something like this, then you can end up causing it to rust. So keep that in mind. But we do need to have these here so that way it will hold the shape while the glue is drying. And I like to have a little brush too to help spread it. All right, I'm going to give this a little bit of time to dry, and then we'll come back. Well, I'll probably go ahead and cut the rest of it off camera, because you can see what it is that we're doing for the next box. So I'll come back when this is dry and I got the next pieces cut. Okay, now we're back for the next part. The first part of the box, or tray rather, is now glued together. And if we take our thing and we put it in there, we can see that it actually fits in there really nicely. So now the next thing is for the top tray, if you will. And so this is going to fit over top of this one. So all I did was just did referential measurements, meaning that I took the measurements right off the piece. So I just took this piece, flipped it over, put some pieces onto the side, and then marked out my main piece, and then did the same thing here. I just measured these right off of this so that way it would fit the right size. And with this onto here, I put the piece here and was able to just scribe a line right through here in order to get the measurements. So this one I actually had to measure and be a little bit more careful with. This one here, I could just go right off of here. So now, same thing. This is mainly a three-part section. The first tray, now we're going to glue up the second tray, and then after that we're going to put both of them onto the whole piece, which is going to be bound up like a book. So next thing, we're gluing this. Okay, we're back. Everything is dry and ready to go. And doing a test fit. Everything fits in there really nicely. Can take this, put it in here. So it's fitting really, really well. So now is time to make the what these are going to connect to. And so with this, I'm going to build it basically like a bookbinding thing. So I'm going to be making the front and the back, and then have the center section in between, kind of like that. So that's the next thing we're going to do. And for this, I'm going to put the two together, get my board, and I'm going to use referential measurements once again because I feel like that's the best way to go. So in this case, I'm going to have the board be the same width as the long board. And then on the top and the bottom here, I'm going to take spacer pieces and put them in here, like so. And now I've got my measurement for here. So now So now we have our two boards, and having the spacer pieces on the top and the bottom, that'll give me an overhang. And the way I'm going to do the center section is I'm going to take two pieces and I'm going to put them here, and two more pieces and put them on each side of the center section like so, and that'll give me the spacing. So I should have an overhang on both sides that should be equal to the top and the bottom here. So let's get this cut out. Okay, that one came out right. I just like to double check it because I make mistakes sometimes. Okay, looks like I cut this one at a little bit of an angle, so I'm going to redo this piece here. All right, got it that time. Next, we're going to cut the center section here, just like we would be with a book spine. So, and I still like to do the referential measurements. Almost again. All right, now we've got all the components cut out, and so the next thing to do is going to be to cover everything in book cloth. So I'll be back once I get everything cleaned up and I get the book cloth out. All right, now I've got my book cloth here, and so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the front, back, and the spine of it in the book cloth. We're just going to do it rough to start with. We're going to glue it down and then trim the edges and fold them in and get all this glued up. So let's get to it. Okay, next step, now that we've got this all glued up and it's looking good, is I'm going to glue in a little strip right here to help cover up the spine of this, just to give it a little something extra. All right, the next step in covering is to take both of the trays and to get them covered around the edge. We don't need to cover it completely on the bottom. We will cover it completely in the inside of the tray. But right now we're just going to do the outside of the tray. And I have not done this before, so I am going by what I Do a Gussie said to do. So I took me a little piece of paper and I folded it over approximately 2 centimeters or so. And then I put it up underneath the tray like so, and then folded it around like so. They gave me the little indent here, and then I took my ruler and I measured it, whoops, wrong side, giving me about 2 centimeters away from the crease, and it gives me about 10 centimeters. So that's going to need to be about the amount of material I need to start from here and wrap all the way around. So we're going to start with the long side first, and then we'll do each side. Okay, it's looking pretty good right now. I First one came out all right, especially considering it's the very first time I've done it. Now I'm going to shut the camera off, and I'm just going to end up doing the other sides for both of these, and we'll come back when it's time to do final assembly. All right, this thing is now completely finished. It's looking really, really good. I like it a whole lot. What was it, during Christmas of last year, I made gift boxes for a lot of the guys at work, and it came out really bad. Let's just be honest. It came out really bad. And so one of the things I was wanting to work on is to up my gift box game, and with this right here, I have definitely done that. Being able to make the clamshell box, being able to do the heat transfer vinyl, opens up, fits the contents perfectly. I mean, a little dirty, but I couldn't have asked for anything better. So thank you so much for coming along with me. I've got tons more projects coming up, so I hope you'll be with me here as I get these going, and I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, then like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all again next time in the workshop.